So in my last video on the Poco phone, I had a lot of people asking me to address some issues. And while I thought that they were minor things that wouldn't affect the overall conclusion of my video, it seems that people are very concerned about some potential drawbacks that this phone may have. And I guess that it makes sense because when a phone offers this much for such a low price, it's easy for people to get skeptical and think that this is too good to be true. Hey guys, I am Siddharth and let's talk about what I didn't talk about in my last video. So the first issue that people noticed in my video was that there was a very visible bleeding of backlight at bottom of the screen when I showed the phone screens at their dimmest settings. And there are two things that I'd like to mention here. The first is that this looked very bad on video because I had to crank up the ISO on my camera to make the screens visible, which makes things look very different than what our eyes see. The high sensitivity of camera magnifies the unevenness in backlight, so it looks a lot worse than it actually is. The second thing is that there is actually some light bleed on this panel. While it is easily visible at its dimmest setting, if you look for it, it is also very slightly visible at 30 to 40% brightness, which I operate my phone at indoors. But it is only visible when the bottom area is completely white, which it is most of the times as there is a white navigation bar. When you have any content like your home screen, images or video on it, this is not visible at all, and beyond 40% brightness, this isn't visible even when you try to look for it. The backlight around the notch also isn't perfectly consistent, and that is something that I notice more when I am focusing on that area, but ironically, that's not visible on camera. The reason this happens is because smartphone LCD screens are typically edge lit, and while there are some very good LCD panels on smartphones that don't have this problem, the one on Poco phone is less than perfect. And this would, of course, never look as consistent as OLED panels, which are perfectly consistent as they don't need a backlight. This is a very minor issue which is not noticeable 97% of the times, so I don't consider this to be a deal breaker for Poco phone. But if it is visible enough on your phone to bother you, you might have received a defective unit. The second issue with this phone is lack of a Widevine level 1 certification. This phone only has level 3 certification, so this phone won't be able to play Netflix above 540p in quality. And the same goes with Amazon Prime Video. Now 540p is actually good enough for a 6-inch phone screen, but resolution isn't everything and lower quality also has lower bit rates, especially with streaming services. So yes, this is an issue. I don't know if this can be fixed with an OTA update, but other phones like the Mi 8, Redmi Note series and even older OnePlus phones have had this issue too. There can be workarounds to this, but a lot of them would be illegal and modded APK files can be risky, so don't buy this phone if it bothers you to such an extent. Personally, I am fine with settling at 540p for the times when I have to watch TV shows on my phone. Side by side, the OnePlus 6 does play Netflix in noticeably higher quality, but it's not a big difference and you might not even notice it unless you get close to the screen. The third issue with this phone is lack of optical image stabilization, which has made some people think that this camera sucks in low light. But stabilization is just part of the picture and a camera isn't bad just because it doesn't have OIS. So I have taken some low light shots with Poco F1 and here they are side by side with OnePlus 6 which has OIS. So you can see for yourself how much of a difference not having OIS makes for this phone. Xiaomi has announced that this phone is splash resistant after 3 weeks of its release, which is odd but great to hear. This phone does not have NFC, which is not a big deal for me even though I used many NFC enabled devices. If you absolutely require NFC, don't buy this phone. And lastly, some people are concerned about the plastic build of this phone, and I think that it's pretty illogical to say that build quality of a product is bad just because it's made of plastic. You can watch Jerry Rig Everything's video where this phone passes his bend test and many of the flagship devices have failed that test. So while the design may not look premium, which I mentioned in the review, you cannot say that the build is not good. There was some problem with OK Google Hot Word which has been fixed, and I also did not have any problem with casting from this phone either to a Miracast device or to a Google Cast device. Cows are on the streets. Yes, the cows are on the street, which might be a little odd for people living outside of India, but cows actually help in managing the traffic. Because suppose if you cross the 30 km/h limit, then your chances of getting into an accident are higher. So when you have cows on the road, people pay more attention to driving, reducing the number of accidents. They are kind of like speed breakers, except you will only get killed if you mess with them first. So that was it for this video. I hope that I have cleared most of the issues that are in discussion regarding this device. I really think that in spite of these minor issues, the Pocophone F1 is worth more than its asking price, and I am kind of going into the same conclusion as my last video. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, notification alert.